The Star of Eurasia, the Pearl of the Great Steppe, the city of the future. The capital of Kazakhstan has got many different names, but each of them impresses the speaker. Hello, this is the Terra Incognita project. My name is Anton Fyodorov, and I continue my journey through the main city of Kazakhstan, Astana. Indeed, the capital of Kazakhstan can be compared with a star. With a clear sky, the sun is reflected in the glass of its futuristic buildings. Wide avenues, amazing buildings, and colorful paints. Astana looks bright and unforgettable. We can talk about the architecture of the Kazakh capital endlessly. The world-famous architects Norman Foster, Kiso Kurokawa, Manfredi Nicoletti worked on its image. But President of Kazakhstan, Nursultan Nazarbayev, is justly considered the main founder of Astana. The idea of creating a new capital came in the first years of the country's independence. At that time, it sounded just out of the blue. For many people, to transfer the capital from Almaty seemed like an expensive and not effective solution. However, the majority supported the idea, and today, all Kazakhstanis understood what it was for. In 20 years, Astana became the political, economic, cultural, and religious center of Kazakhstan, and all people of the country are proud of this city. Each building in Astana has got a certain symbol. The sacred meaning is hidden in the architecture of the Kazakh capital. If you walk around the city, you will certainly notice the unique building in the shape of a pyramid, located on the square near the monument of Kazakh Joly. This building is not famous only for the original form, but also for its own special history. From the very first days of its independence, Kazakhstan chose a course of peaceful policy. This country has become the second home for representatives of 130 nationalities who have come here for various reasons. The creation, friendship, and unity of all the people of Kazakhstan were proclaimed the basic principles in the public life of the country. For the embodiment of a peaceful policy, Kazakhstan needed a certain symbol that would herald the welfare and tranquility inside the country. And the Palace of Peace and Accord became such a symbol for the entire country. The palace is built in the shape of a pyramid. Its four sides are directed to the four sides of the world: north, south, east, and west, which means the openness of Kazakhstan to the whole world, its friendly policy, and readiness to cooperate. The height and length of the sides of pyramids is 62 meters. The pyramid has a great spiritual meaning, cultures of many people. Ancient philosophers and thinkers saw a meaning of the world's creation in the pyramid. And the Palace of Peace and Accord in Astana is impressive not only by its shape and design. This work of the British architect Norman Foster is no less impressive inside as well. The Opera Hall is a real pride of the Palace of Peace and Accord. It's unique in the architecture and meets the highest international standards. The hall is equipped with modern technology that allows organizing the most interesting and unusual stage productions. The world opera singer Montserrat Caballé performed here on September 1st, 2006, on the day of the opening of the Palace of Peace and Accord. The history of using the pyramids by different peoples starting from ancient times is collected in the Palace of Peace and Accord. People saw the pyramids as a synthesis of various forms. Each one has its own meaning. For example, the square base of a figure symbolizes the earth. The peak is the starting and ending point of all living things, a kind of mystical center. The triangular faces connecting the top of the pyramid with its base embody the fire, water, wind, and all life on earth. This is the meaning of the Palace of Peace and Accord. It symbolizes the enormous wealth that Kazakhstan has got, interreligious understanding within the country, which moves the republic to new heights and successes. The architecture of the Palace of Peace and Accord is really amazing. The Opera Hall, where we have just been with you, is under the ground. Here it is. The total area of the building itself is 28,000 square meters. There are conference halls, exhibition complexes, presentation areas inside the pyramid, but the most fascinating thing is located at the top of the pyramid, where we're headed now.
Куда сейчас мы с вами и отправимся.
The uniqueness of the building of the Palace of Peace and Accord is that the elevators here do not go up and down, as usually in buildings, but diagonally. I climb the stairs through the bright atrium and walk past the flower gallery. The main hall of this amazing building is ahead of me.
На самом верхнем этаже Дворца мира и согласия.
This is the cradle hall on the highest floor of the Palace of Peace and Accord. It is made of glass so that daylight constantly penetrates here. The interior of this room is a piece of art by the British artist Brian Clark. 130 white doves, which symbolize the 130 nationalities living in Kazakhstan. Peace and harmony are depicted here on the window.
В Казахстане, в мире и согласии.
The Palace of Peace and Accord in Astana became known from the very first day of its opening. In 2006, it opened the doors for 29 delegations that arrived in Astana for the second Congress of the World Leaders of Traditional Religions from all over the world. And the capital of Kazakhstan has forever become a dialogue platform for global, interreligious, and peaceful dialogue. I emphasize that freedom of religion in Kazakhstan is one of the main provisions in the country. Therefore, temples and mosques built in Astana are real works of art, and I decided to visit one of the brightest landmarks of Kazakhstan's capital, the Holy Permission Cathedral. This temple is striking in its grandeur, but most of all, I was surprised by its interior design. The halls of the cathedral are decorated with icons of unimaginable beauty. Indeed, you feel something divine here. I talked to the servant of the church, Dmitry Baidek, about the history of the temple.
За эти 8 лет храм стал, во-первых, полноценным приходом, стал местом, куда
Over these 8 years, the temple has become a full-fledged parish, a place where so many pilgrims and tourists come. Very often, the tourist trips of the guests of our city include visit to the temple. As you may notice, there is a unique iconostasis behind my back in the temple. The iconostasis is the wall that separates the altar from the main temple. This is a very highly artistic wood carving, real written icons made in the best classical traditions of Russian icon painting. The iconostasis was made in the workshops of Kostroma, and the icons were painted in Yaroslavl, especially for our church, and they are very harmoniously combined with paintings in the temple.
Костромы, а иконы писались в Ярославле, специально для нашего храма. И они очень гармонично сочетаются с росписью храма.
The Dermishan Cathedral has become the largest Orthodox church in Kazakhstan and the Central Asia. The height from the base to the top of the crowning central dome of the cross is 68 meters. The cathedral consists of lower and upper temples, with a total area of more than 2,000 square meters. Up to 4,000 people can be here at the same time.
можно обратить внимание, что основной такой доминирующий цвет – это небесно-голубой цвет.
You may notice that the main dominant color of the temple is the sky blue, which creates the lightness and the volume. In ancient altruistic practice, it is the sky blue color that was the color symbol of the most holy Mother of God, the color of heaven purity. And all these symbolic traditions of the church get such a real embodiment in our church.
И традиции церкви, они получают такое вот реальное воплощение.
The Dormishan Cathedral in Astana is different from other Orthodox churches in Kazakhstan. The thing is that the dome of the church is usually held on several columns that pass through the main hall and run into the base of the building. However, I noticed that the main hall of the Dormishan Cathedral is not covered with columns. That was the idea of architects and engineers who distributed the weight of the dome onto the bearing walls, saving the hall from the columns so that as many religious people could fit in it.
Политика государства в религиозной сфере, проводимая в Казахстане, она наиболее оптимальна и приемлема для...
The state policy in the religion held in Kazakhstan is the most optimal and acceptable for all categories of citizens of our independent country. The position of the state is secular. That is, the state does not support any religion while allowing each religious organization, each denomination, and each faith to develop in a distinctive way. The country only regulates the relations of civil society and confessions being the correct and the wise policy. And I think if we continue going this way, our society will be in peace and harmony.
Если и дальше мы будем идти вот именно этим путем, то я думаю, что в нашем обществе будет мир и гармония.
The Dormishan Cathedral is not only a temple and a place where parishioners can pray to God. This is a significant architectural monument, harmoniously blending into the image of the Kazakhstani capital, a symbol of peace and prosperity on the Kazakhstan's land. Well, I intend to visit another spiritual pearl of the Kazakh capital.
In
2018, a new mosque was opened in Astana. It was called Alanin Joly, which means the flower of God. The building of the temple itself was built with a unique technology, and there are no analogs of this mosque anywhere in the world. The tradition to take off the shoes before entering the mosque is deeply rooted in antiquity. Nobody knows when it appeared exactly. The thing is that in Islam, the temple is associated with the house, and in order not to bring dirt into the house from the street, parishioners should take off their shoes. The mosque is located on the right bank of the capital. Its construction had started in 2016. The building is made in the postmodern style, using the traditional ornaments and decorative elements. It has a complex hemispherical shape consisting of triangular inclined planes, transferring to a dome, with a diameter of 26 meters. From the outside, the design resembles a flower and, at the same time, a diamond pattern. As you see, the facets are amber. Both the roof and the building itself mainly used the local materials. This should also be noted, and of course, they came up with the idea that now, especially when the head of state Nursultan Nazarbayev always says in all speeches that it is necessary to use the new technologies in everything, young people should learn, so we decided to use them in the mosque, too. I think it worked. So this is the only mosque in the world. Yes, It's the only mosque in the world with zero power consumption.
Да, единственная мечеть в мире с нулевым потреблением электроэнергии.
The structures used to power the new mosque produce electricity 3 times the required amount. The authors of the project say that non-traditional forms were used in the construction of the facility. The height of the minaret, located on the north side of the main building of the mosque, is 43.5 meters and is made in the form of kalam, the sacred feather for Muslims.
Вы видите, что это большой зал, общий молитвенный зал.
You see that this is a large hall, a common prayer hall. Since the dawn of the time, the hall in all mosques and temples is built so that people can get together and pray to God. It's one thing when a person prays to the Almighty, and when the whole society, this is already a blessing. Therefore, mosques have always been built. And you see, the peculiarity of our mosque is that they are light, white, like this. And in any mosque, the first attribute is a mihrab, a place where the imam stands and says his prayers. And the second place is the minbar, the imam's rostrum for preaching. And here you see in the center, on the top, this is Allah, and around are 99 names of Allah.
Первый там в центре это Аллах, и потом вокруг 99 имен Аллах.
The mosque is decorated inside exclusively in bright colors. The white color in Islam symbolizes peace and a good attitude towards any religion. As the chief imam of the mosque, Yahya Haji Ismailov, said, since ancient times, Christians and Muslims have been united by friendship, purity of faith, and purpose for good deeds.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد الله أكبر. Само название ислама – это мир. И ислам – это является религией для всего народа. Нрав.
The name Islam itself means the world, and Islam is a religion for the whole nation. The character of the Prophet Muhammad, his way of communication, his life, everything indicates that we must live in peace and harmony. At the times when it was difficult for Muslims, it was the Prophet Muhammad who sent his followers to the Christians. You can know everything from history, from movies. It was meant that the Christians will have salvation for people, and they are our closest ones. There is a fact in history that when Muslims had no place to pray, they were offered to pray in a church. When the Christians had no place to pray, the Prophet Muhammad gave them the opportunity to pray in mosques. If we speak, both the Jews and the Christians worked in the government of the Prophet Muhammad. All these are historical facts that show us how we should live. We don't have to invent anything else, and this is his testimony, the life story for us, which must be way of life.
И вот это его показание, его жизнеописание для нас должен быть жизненным путем.
I confess that both the temple and the mosque made an amazing impression on me. For millennia, people prayed in such places to become kinder and cleaner, to find the inner harmony, to ask someone for help, or, on the contrary, to support someone in difficult times. And I'm very glad that in my own country, new mosques and churches are opened every year. And I continue to get acquainted with the unique places of Astana, inspired by visiting the religious sites. I arrived at the Palace of Independence. The capital of Kazakhstan required a building that would embody the capital's glitter, the elegance, the young city, would demonstrate its style and gloss. The palace appears as a harmonious combination of beauty and practice, the past and the present.
Когда в 1900...
When in 1997 Astana obtained the status of the capital of Kazakhstan, life in the city began to bubble in a new way. The entire state apparatus moved here. The government, the parliament, financial organizations, and it is clear that the young capital of Kazakhstan needed premises for the highest level state events, and it was for such purposes that this Palace of Independence was built in Astana. The purpose of such a grand structure is also very high. The capital Astana is the heart of Kazakhstan, where the fateful issues of the state are resolved at different levels. In this regard, daily visits to the capital by guests and delegations from different parts of the world are the usual thing. The unique building, having everything necessary, has become a venue for official state events, summits, forums, meetings, and congresses. The Palace of Independence is one of the main cultural centers of our capital. This is a unique place. Its main architectural feature is, of course, its bearing walls in the form of the kerege. This, as you know, is the skeleton, the basis of the traditional Kazakh house, the yurt. It proves that even regardless of the fact that this building was built with all the latest modern technologies, we have to give respect to our traditions at the same time. The Palace of Independence was opened on December the 15th, 2008 at the initiative of our head of state, Nursultan Abishevich Nazarbayev. The palace has 3 floors. The total area of the building is about 40,000 square meters. There are several halls inside the Palace of Independence. The conferences, concerts, exhibitions, and much more are held there. Visitors can get acquainted with the history of Astana here, and in one hall, they can even look into the future of the Kazakh capital. Behind me is the master plan for the development of the city of Astana until 2030, which has been developed in 1998 by the Japanese architect Kisho Kurokawa. As you see, it fully shows how our capital will develop, that is, all its buildings, how the left bank will look like, and the right bank. I would like to pay special attention to the Millennium Alley, which will go straight through the whole city from the west to east with a length of about 15 to 20 kilometers. Walking through the Palace of Independence, I stumbled upon a unique exhibition that immediately caught my attention. A photo exhibition dedicated to the history of the Kazakh capital was held in one of the halls. The author of the exhibited works was a famous Kazakhstani photojournalist, the local historian, veteran of the Great Patriotic War, Nurmuhammad Imamov, who left behind a huge cultural heritage. He captured Astana when it was still Tselinograd and Akmola. These photos were taken in the early 70s of the last century. The people depicted on them could not even suspect that in some 25 years they would receive the status of the residents of the capital city, and Tselinograd would turn from a provincial city into one of the brightest and the most beautiful cities on the continent. The photos taken by Nurmuhammad Imamov are unique. Each one contains a piece of history of the current capital of Kazakhstan. The photos show how Astana has been building and developing. Over the years, he has collected a huge archive, which he left to his descendants. It was his son Rustam who decided to hold an exhibition of works by Nurmuhammad Imamov.
Ну, отец у меня всю жизнь занимался краеведением, работал с 1962 года, работал в газетах.
My father was engaged in local history all his life. From 1962, he worked in a newspaper in Tselinograd in Akmola, and all his life he collected some photos. He cut out those photos from his reports, put them in an envelope with negatives, and have been collecting them in this way since 1962. I was a kid then, but when I grew older, I remember that my father always walked with a camera. Wherever he went, here or maybe somewhere to Russia, he always had a camera with him. There was no event when he did not take the photos. He has been shooting all the events since 1962.
Где-то какие-то мероприятия, ни одного мероприятия нету, чтобы он не заснял. Вот с 1962 года он все мероприятия снимал.
Rustam Imamov recalls that his father was interested in any event in life of the city. The camera lens of Nur Muhammad Imamov was on the fields of grain growers, filmed panoramas of the roofs of buildings under construction, laying bridges, roads, the lives of ordinary people. Rustam admits that in the city, there is not a single corner left where his father's camera lens wouldn't go.
Мне вот, допустим, эти фотографии все интересны, это вот мое детство.
All these photos are interesting for me because this is my childhood. Each photo says something. It has its own story. We can see any photo and everything can be told about it. If the parade was in the city, then it was generally a holiday. He took photos of these parades. I remember running around helping him. I remember he even once bought me the first camera, Smena 7. I went with him. My father took photos. I also took photos with him, but I didn't go into it so much. But I still learned. Everything was interesting. Several thousand photographs showing the history of Astana in the early 70s have been left behind Nur Muhammad Imamov. He left an invaluable legacy for the descendants who can touch the history of the capital of Kazakhstan. Rustam says he's very proud of his father and glad that he can share his works with the current generation of the Kazakhstanis.
Я родился здесь. Родился.
Rustam Imamov, organizer of the exhibition. I was born here in 1957. My childhood has passed here. This is the old city, and now the new Astana, this left bank. I drive on the left bank now. I still cannot navigate. Every day something new is built. I can still navigate along the right bank, but not along the left bank. When my friends visit me from other regions, they do not recognize Astana. I'm proud of my capital. I will not exchange Astana for any other city. This is my birthplace. It is even hard to believe that in 20 years, Astana has changed beyond recognition. Today it is a modern metropolis, not inferior in beauty and originality of buildings to the best cities in the world. The uniqueness of the Kazakh capital is that it combines the oriental flavor with futuristic images of modern buildings. And my journey through Astana led me to perhaps the most ambitious object in the city. The names of some world-famous architects are inscribed in the history of building and today's look of Astana. One of them is Norman Foster. The projects that he developed for the Kazakhstani capital are considered unique. Behind my back is another masterpiece of an ambitious Briton, the Khanchatyr Mall, or its name is correctly interpreted, the Khanchatyr Mall, or the Khan among tents, as it is interpreted. This tent is by far the highest in the world. The height of its spire is 150 meters, and inside there is a shopping and entertainment center. The Khanchatyr Mall was opened in 2010. The building structure consists of a spire on which there is a special transparent sheet based on the tensioned steel cables. Modern polymeric chemical coating of the canvas protects the space of the tent from temperature fluctuations and contributes to the keeping a special microclimate. Due to these and other technologies, the Khanchatyr Mall entered the top 10 eco-buildings of the world and became a real architectural wonder of the Kazakhstani capital.
Здесь, под крышей торгово-развлекательного центра...
A real tropical oasis is created here under the roof of the shopping and entertainment center. In this water park, the dream of those who like to relax near the sea comes true. Now, sand from the Maldives was specially brought here for visitors. And now, imagine that it is 30 degrees below zero outside, and you have the opportunity to be in the summer for a few hours because the unique engineering ideas and technologies keep the temperature at plus 30 degrees all year round. And of course, there is nothing more pleasant than to dip into the cool water and walk on the real Maldivian sand after a hard-working day. I love my job. It was another episode of the Terra Incognita. My name is Anton Fedorov. See you on the air.